Maagavan and Melanine, and well met indeed. I am Arika Galadirthan, the current head of the modding team behind Divide and Conquer, and welcome back to Divide and Conquer as we continue on as Gondor. Now, first things first, patch 1.2. I said it was going to come out on Monday. Obviously, it's now Wednesday. You're all watching this, and unfortunately, originally we were waiting on one little piece that I really wanted to get into 1.2 from the Elite Dwarf, and he has not failed to disappoint. And he has failed to disappoint. Yeah, he has failed to disappoint in that he has succeeded in not disappointing. Basically, the work that the Elite Dwarf has added is epic, and it looks amazing. And we got that late on Monday evening, and at that point, there were a few other bits and pieces as well. So 1.2 is pushed back, hopefully for me to build the installer today, Tuesday. That's when I recorded this video, English time. However, on Tuesdays I'm not free, and on Wednesday evenings I'm not free. I don't know why I thought I would be. I just one of those mind blips where you just forget that you are not available. So I'm not going to build the installer until Thursday evening English time, and then it will be tested on the Friday by our testers. So it's likely to come to you this weekend, I'm afraid. However, that's not really the end of the world. It's only a few extra days. I do apologise for that. This is why you should never give out dates of when you're going to release mods. But 1.2 is... But then it's worthwhile holding off on for these few little bits and pieces here and there, because now that it's going to be delayed by 2 days, we might be able to squeeze in a few more bits. Because as I've said numerous times, I don't even know when the next patch is going to come out, unless there's something glaringly wrong with 1.2 that I've done majorly wrong. The next one is going to be way down the line. So I can only apologise, but it's likely to be this weekend. So take that into account. But it's not the end of the world. Additionally, information on it. It's going to include all of the work from patch 1.1. So it will be able to be installed. If you've got 1.1 already on the computer, you can install it on top of that. No problem. Your save games will not work though. It's not save game compatible. The nature of this modding, how old this game is, save games aren't. Right, so that's out the way. Let's carry on. We are playing as Gondor. Our Angmar campaign has gone a little bit awry, for want of a better word. Not for want of a better word. It has fully gone awry. And so we're in a bit of a storm up in the north. However, down in the south, things have really turned around. We've got Mordor on the back foot. We're besieging the Moran, and we're besieging Cirith Ungol. We've got armies in both places that will be able to survive. And we're basically tightening the noose. I believe it's at an end turn though, so let us go ahead and do that. Although we've got a diplomat that we can do something with. Have you got any missions? No, they want the fountain taken. You can only get one mission at a time, so go and get trade rights with Without vessels.
Question, tomorrow's journey.
Now, speaking of how easy it is with Mordor, right at the death, Grumpy Pirate, one of our testers and one of the most common game players in the Steam group, and someone who I would suggest has turned into a reasonably good internet friend of mine, has suggested that the Mordor campaign is actually ridiculously easy, and that certainly seems to tie up with how easily my conquest I'm playing as Mordor, and he would certainly seem to suggest that in our attempts to make Gondor harder, we've overlooked the fact that Mordor is an absolute cakewalk. And so after patch 1.2 we probably will look into doing some work around making Mordor just a little bit harder. But first of all, we are attacked by the orcs. Captain Adunafel. Captain Adunafel brings 3 units of host, 4 units of host, 2 maulers, and some archers. And G. Indur Dawndeath brings another rabble force. I think we can hold it off. I think we've got a solid chance of victory here. Captain Adunafel is attacking us, and G's just joining him. So we're going to look to do some editing, hopefully to Mordor, but this coincides with the only thing that we actually had planned for after 1.2. I've posted a few comments saying we have no plans for after 1.2, but I realised there was one thing that we've been talking about for some time, and that is trying to make the game harder for certain factions. So that'll tie in quite nicely with that. But this is not going to be present in 1.2. Hummingbird has done a few little edits to Mordor to try to counter how easy their campaign might be, but a major change to their difficulty won't come in 1.2. So don't expect it. Look at that hill there. We're not going to... Absolute fools to pass up that. Also, just because G. Indur has cavalry. Let's throw some stakes at him. Right, we're going to pull back to this lovely looking hill over here. Because they can still climb up this bit. And our archers can fire on them as they do so. They can't walk up there, as we'd expect. Right, so we want the whole army up here. Yep. No. Yep. Oh, there we are. Perfect. Although you're standing on the mountains, and that doesn't bode well, because that might be a bit of a glitch. So we'll move you down. So, who have we got left? No one over there. Zoom out. No one. Good. So it's just our archers down there. And we can bring these ones up here, can't we? There we are. So it's only the Ithilians. And we'll leave them there with the stakes to try and maybe get some kills.
The enemy are bringing in reinforcements.
Right, so Ithilian Rangers. I want you in the front. Maximize your killing potential with your increased range. And then how are we going to get these archers behind? Poorly, I expect, with this layout. Although we can kind of circle them around a bit, can't we? Get fire in a few locations. Like, yeah, if you go there. And then you guys just go in the back there. Right, perfect. So then, defending this side. Guardsmen. Venom Marines. Guardsmen, sorry. A few people who some of the people over on ModDB who don't follow us on Total War Center and don't follow my YouTube updates at all, which is fine. But a few people were totally unaware that the Lebanon Marines have since been removed, and they were quite put out by this. In fact, they were quite disappointed. But I was disappointed that Marines weren't. They're quite an iconic unit. They've been in the game since the base Third Age. But they were totally superfluous. The Guardsmen are better in almost all forms. They're just almost all round better than the Marines. They share almost identical models as well. The only difference being these have a massive shield and don't have the feathers on their hats. So there was no real need to keep the Marines. They were just a wasted slot, really. And the Lamadan Clansmen look really cool. Yes, they're heavily based on Scottish units, and indeed some of you guessed correctly that they are in fact pretty much just taken directly from the Scottish noble unit of the base game. But they look cool, and so we like them. Some people were just a little dismayed that the Marines had gone. But when you see the Lambden Clansmen, I think you'll appreciate the change. Some of the little bits of modding that have gone into 1.2 at the end that I'll talk about while the enemy gets their act together are that bribing is now a lot harder across the board. A lot harder across the board. I edited the bribing stat itself. Now this is because I said that I was going to put a hidden stat which would make diplomats harder to bribe. However, I'm not actually 100% sure that you can add loyalty, which is the feature that makes bribing harder. I'm not sure that you can actually add loyalty to diplomats. I don't think it's a trait they can have. And if there's a modder out there who knows more than I do, then do let me know. So in an attempt to make diplomats harder to bribe, and in an attempt just to make it harder to bribe, because I don't think there would be that many bribes in Middle-earth. I mean, the only documented traitor that we really have is Grima Wormtongue. In terms of money, in terms of bribery. So I don't think bribery is all that great a feature, so I'm not too bothered that it's a lot harder now. But that's my way to counter the diplomats fleeing, because I don't think I can edit their loyalty, as I say, so then my only other option was to edit the bribery stat itself. So I did. So bribery is now much harder. And if you're trying to bribe someone who isn't from your culture, what the game's files calls religion, then it's even harder. Which is good, because again, I think like the number one culprits for bribing in the game, as we all know, are the dwarves. The dwarves bribe everybody, absolutely everybody. All of the tales of weird bribing situations we tend to have are almost always dwarves who've bribed some orc to join them. So there's a dwarven general who has an orc portrait and an orc name and is an orc, and so it'll be a lot harder now for the dwarves to bribe anyone who isn't a dwarf. And of course, the dwarves don't really bribe the other dwarves. Bribery only really affects your enemy. Your allies don't tend to try and bribe each other, so hopefully that'll help with the bribery a bit. It's my hope. Also, the change that came from the elite dwarf that I'm really, really really pleased with, because as we all know, Bree are my second favourite faction, and that is that the Bree land campaign strategy models for their towns and castles have now been made unique. So if you play as Bree, number one, the actual town of Bree itself has been given a whole new model, and it looks really sweet. And I was pondering about this, Elite, actually, if you are listening, and obviously I vetoed the original one with the 2 hills, because I said it didn't blend well enough with the winter terrain. But I think what my actual qualm was perhaps it didn't blend well enough with the town itself, and I think the hills just really stood out. But the way that you've now blended them with that row of housing, and the farms going right up to the hill itself, I think it just fits the settlement so much more. So I'm really, really pleased with those changes. So back to the rest of you, the town of Bree looks really good. But also, if you play as Bree and you upgrade a village to a town to a large town, and then a large town to a city, Bree have totally unique town models. Totally unique. Look at that rainstorm. Jesus, firestorm of arrows. And also, Bree cannot get a large city, and they cannot get a stronghold, the highest tier of castle. But if you get a Motte and Bailey and you upgrade it to a castle, which is the new naming convention, then it will again be unique to the Breeland style. Now, the Elite Dwarf has some amazing skills with the strategy models. He's really quick. Either he's amazing at it, or it's a simpler process than I realised. But he's very quick, and he's just very good. He captures the kind of sense of more Middle-earthy feel to the settlements that I really like. And given that the game has the ability to allow every single faction to have a totally unique strategy model, our possibilities here are absolutely endless. I mean, can you imagine playing the game and heading south, for example, and seeing Candish towns being like an array of tents, and then heading slightly further to the north and seeing the Easterling towns being a bit more fortified, and then heading out to Rohan and seeing that their towns are a bit more wooden and ramshackle and sort of run down, compared to, say, their Dalian counterparts, which are a bit more sturdy because they've got the Dwarven influence with stonework. I mean, the possibilities are endless. Now, the only thing, obviously, we can't really do at this time is edit the battle maps themselves. So, whilst we can edit the campaign strategy models, the battle maps is something that, at the moment, I don't think we can do. Now, the Elite Dwarf has said that he may be able to edit those, and if he can, that's brilliant. But I'm not that bothered with the battle models, I must confess. I'm much more interested in editing the... Oh, I put the Marines in the middle. That was bloody stupid. I'm much more interested in editing the strategy models for the campaign than I am the battle models. But anyway, the possibilities are endless, is the moral of the story. And Bree have been edited at the last minute. That was one of the final changes that has gone in.
Victory will be ours.
So that's very, very cool. Additionally, the Northern Dunedain... and in the Northern Dunedain overview, I said I was going to fully upgrade Fenestruinen so you could see the progression of a town under the Northern Dunedain. And then obviously I didn't end up actually doing that, which is my bad. But that is also because the look that Fenestruinen had when I made the Northern Dunedain overview is no longer the look they actually have only 2 days later. So the look that you're all going to get in 1.2 would not have been the same that you would have seen when I recorded that overview. So that's partly why I didn't do it, but also partly just because I forgot. So my bad on that part there. But if a faction has substantially changed campaign strategy models, when I do those overviews, I will select a village somewhere and upgrade it through the levels so you can get to see them all in one go. Because that's kind of what the overview is about, isn't it? It's showing off that faction. And a major part of that faction is what they look like on the campaign map. So I will get to editing that as well. I will get to showing that, but only on those that actually have changed, as I say. So you've already seen the Gondor ones at the start of the Northern Dunedain episode, so you've seen the Gondor ones. I'll show you the Bree ones in the Bree one, and I'll show you, when we come to Rohan, Dale or Dwynien, whoever comes first, I'll show you the generic Northmen ones as well. So that's all that to talk about. So that's all coming in 1.2. The changelog has been posted. You can get the link if you just go to Total War Center, which is linked in the description of every single video I ever post. On the very first post that you're faced with, there's the fourth box down says changelog media and contributions and permissions or something like that. And within that one, open the then changelog tab and just read the changelog. So you can see everything that's coming in version 1.2. To satiate your desires before it actually arrives, because of course, we've wasted all our arrows.
The enemy force remains.
I've been talking and wasted all our arrows. Oh well. Yeah, fully wasted. All the archers have run out of arrows. So run over there, get out of the way. Alright, Thilians, I want you to shoot over there. I'm pretty sure the enemy is running away. Yeah, I thought they might be. What did they just say?
Men of Gondor, knights, knights. The enemy general flees like the coward he is. Press
Oh,
onward and break the spirit of his army.
I think it's because we clicked on those first. Now, I'd love to chase them down, but I don't know who to send you out. We won't be able to get a mass route with the next army, though, because... G. Indur Dawndeath will see to it that they don't run away so easily. Right, reform the line. Reform the line in a much better position. If I could ask that, that'd be brilliant. There we are. You'll be. You stand ready. Right, go out and capture as many as you can. Oh, they turned around and started fighting. Oh,
If
we
we
didn't
continue
chase them
like
down in
this,
time.
we will smash the enemy.
Capture the ones that are running away then. I'm not really bothered if you die, to be honest. Generals at the moment are a dime a dozen in this campaign, so I'm not too fussed if you guys go, but no one seems to be diverting
Our
attention
men
to you.
have captured the enemy general. Guard him well and make it so he can see us defeat the rest of his army.
There we are. Captain Adunafel has gone. 44% of the enemy has died, and we have lost a mere 2%. And our javelins are getting throws in from there. That's like crazy range. Where's G. Indoor? Ah, he's avoiding the stakes because he's a clever little bugger. He's fully avoiding them. See, people have said that the AI in 1.0 is worse than it used to be in 1.1. Sorry, but I personally think the AI has significantly improved. There's lots of little things that you may not have noticed before that the AI now just doesn't fall into the trap of
If we
doing.
continue like this, we will smash the enemy.
Did they get you? Yeah, look, Indor's chasing him down. Go and get a charge in on there. Ah, lovely little charge. Right, let's look at this properly. Our line meets them down the hill. The guardsmen, you can push through. Get the marines up here, they might be able to throw at something. Oh, and you, gentlemen. Oh, you've run out as well. Move away, don't get shot for no reason. You're not needed until someone routes, so come back to safety. Now, this one's going to be a bit more of a slog, because as I say, Dawndeath is making sure that the enemy doesn't break so easily. How are you possibly fighting in melee? Who's gotten through to you? Go on, throw your javelins at someone. What a nice clear throw. Where are you going for? Oh, look at that. Can you imagine fighting down there? You're standing at the bottom of the hill. You're surrounded by the dead bodies of your fallen comrades. And all you can see is basically the silhouette of the enemy. Standing, look at that. That's like, what, 10 meters or so? That's probably 20 meters above you. And then out of absolutely nowhere, a man-sized javelin just cleaves off the head of the man standing next to you. And you have nothing to defend yourself with. No shield, nothing. You have to just stand there and endure this rain of hell. No wonder troops break. It's almost impossible for people nowadays to imagine the horror of sword and shield melee combat. I mean, at least, not at least, but like our armed forces now, if you take the life of another man, normally it's from quite far away and all you have to do is squeeze a trigger. You don't even have to look him in the eyes. But can you imagine staring at someone and thinking either you or me is going to die for us to continue our existence, for basically for us to continue our day, and then to think you've got to kill the person standing in front of you, and once you've killed him there'll be another one wishing to take your life. It's amazing, isn't it? Humans. But then you say humans, I mean animals fight non-stop. We are just animals, just highly intelligent animals. We are vain enough to think that this world is created for us and that there's a bigger purpose, but we're just animals. And like the rest of the animals, we fight. Dominance, defending our land, defending our territory, pride, all of these things. At least the Maulers are running away. Sorry, that was very philosophical, wasn't it? Right, now the enemy is pretty much done. We just need to kill Dawn Death. Who's the best place to kill him? Oh, he's just charged into the unit that's going to easily kill him. Oh, Axemen of the Sarnak. Axemen of the Sarnak are one of my favourite units. I absolutely love them. Right, divert attention over there. You come and get involved. Let's send down our generals as well, because they might start routing soon and we'll need some people to pick them off. Nobody is on defensive. Use the hill to our advantage. Break through there. This is basically their whole army, isn't it? In fact, that is their entire army now.
Half the enemy force remains.
As our forces surge down the hill. Now, and of course, this is, well, almost always the case with Orc armies, but if Dawn Death dies, the routing will begin and we will win, but we've just got to get him to die. And at the minute, we've got the situation where our units are engaged, but they're not properly engaged. They're in dribs and drabs. Also, not enough of Dawn Death's army is dying for my liking. Also, this battle has taken almost this whole video so far. Mental. I really enjoy the faction overviews. Just as a sidebar, the campaigns, I am enjoying all 4 campaigns. I must confess as well. I am actually enjoying them, which I didn't think I would, because I've never played this game this much. YouTube forces me to routinely play the game, but then that's actually quite a good thing because it keeps me in touch with the mod a little bit more than it would have done. But anyway, I really enjoy the faction overviews. I like talking about DaC from a point of view. Kind of from a point of view where I'm almost like an expert on something. Like, yes, I might say the odd thing wrong, but I fully understand the concepts when I'm talking about from the faction overviews. Whereas the lore videos, I obviously understand a lot of Lord of the Rings. I know tons about Lord of the Rings. I retain information about it because I find it interesting. But I am in no means an expert on it because you'd need to study it at like a kind of a school level study. You'd need to put hours in daily to retain all the information. So I do say some things wrong. And it always leaves me a little paranoid. But I've always wanted it to be a bit more natural than just a script-read information download. It's more of a just kind of chat, like listening to the radio almost. And apparently that seems to work, because I get a lot more positive comments than I do negative. Although you always get negative comments, because humans are humans. And you just have to ignore them. But the faction overviews I really enjoy, really enjoy. Also, if you haven't seen, Big Fellow has released another top 10 unit video. An interesting choice, I must say, though. He's gone for the top 5 trolls. But then, as he points out twice in the video, there are only 6 troll units in the whole game. So, arguably, a not really necessary video, it might be the words I would go for. But it was enjoyable, nevertheless. I mean, it was enjoyable. Something else that I wanted to mention, I think I talked about it in Angmar, but I'll talk about it again. And that is hero abilities. There's been a question circulating around the mod for ages because of a text error. Elrond's hero ability used to say that it increases the enemy army effectiveness. So people would never use it, and people would always question why it would be in the game. But that, of course, was a typo. It increases your army's effectiveness. But additionally to that, I just saw someone post on Total War Center about how certain hero abilities say that they stun the enemy, but that they've never actually seen the enemy be stunned. Now, this is because those hero abilities, which are mostly used on the Nazgul, I think the Nazgul have them, and Legolas's swiftness ability has it, and it doesn't actually stun the enemy, but they've cleverly used a different skill to kind of replicate stunning the enemy. And what it does is it causes infighting for 3 seconds. And that isn't actually long enough for any of your enemy units to kill each other, but it's long enough for them to disengage, and that's all it does. So the enemy units disengage from you for a few seconds while they contemplate killing each other, but then they re-engage again. And that's why it says that it stuns, but it doesn't actually stun. Stunning isn't in the game, that's not an option. But it does cause them to fight amongst themselves for only 3 seconds, thus essentially replicating stun. But the messages now reflect that. So it no longer do they say stuns the enemy. It now just says causes infighting for 3 seconds. So it's a bit clearer. There we are. G indoors died. I don't know who's actually still fighting.
The enemy army flees the
End
field.
it.
Enemy are utterly
Oh, those are
vanquished.
outrageous stats, even for that battle.
This is a great victory, worthy of only the mightiest of generals.
Unbelievable. 334. And we killed 2,600. More, just a little over. 341 with the Athelian Rangers. And they actually took it. I mean, can you believe that? I basically forgot about the Athelian Rangers and realised they'd run out of arrows almost straight away, and yet they still got the most kills of anyone. Although that General's Bodyguard was close second. That's loads of kills. How did they do that? Blimey, well done. They gained 7 experience points for that. It must have been him, because he wasn't gold at the start. Well, well done, sir. Well done in bloody deed. Outrageous. Adunafel's name was there, which leads me to a point. Somebody posted on Total War Center saying that we've got it wrong, and in MERP, Middle-earth role-playing, Adunafel is stated as being a woman. And that is a break from the law that I just can't fathom. We know that the Nazgul were 9 kings of men. They were kings. It's one of the solid, concrete, no dispute facts. So why the role-playing game decided they'd make one of them a woman? I mean, I'm not annoyed because it's a woman. It just seems like a really weird break from the law. Like, of all the good things that they did, like giving the Nazgul names and stuff like that, why would they go for such a break from the law as to make one of the Nazgul a woman? I just don't get it. We know 100% that they were human men. I just don't understand it. So someone told us that we've got Adunafel wrong because we call him a man. But someone else did also point out at a later date that Adunafel, I think we might have changed it, or maybe we didn't change it, but Adunafel is actually a female spelling of a name in Adonaic, which is the language of Umbar, the black language of the Black Numenorians. And so obviously that fits, but I don't know anything about Adonaic. I don't know anything about Quenya either. I only can tell you about Sindarin and the rules around that. So there's a little tidbit for you. So we're not going to change Adunafel to be a woman because it's such a weird break from the law. It's such a... it just seems like they did it for pips and giggles. I don't know. Anywho, I don't actually have enough time to fight this battle. I am terribly sorry. My work and my non-work life combine, and I have to squeeze these videos in where I can. So that's why I can only get about 30 minutes with them. So Tamruban and Ubada are going to have to wait, I'm afraid. But we will have a look at them. Oh my sweet Jesus. 2 units of Trollmen, 2 units of Southron Pikemen, 3 units of Southron Pikemen. And look at how much cavalry they've got. 2 units of Camel Riders, Southron Lancers, their archer equipment. Oh, God. What have we got against cavalry? Oh, we've got Guardsmen, 2 units of. We've got the Lebenin Guardsmen as well. Lebenin Guardsmen are basically a better version of Territorial Guardsmen. We've got 1 unit of pikemen, 2 peacekeepers, javelins. We don't have any archers, save for the farmhand, and they're rubbish. They're like orc-level archers. But then their archers on foot, they've only got those. And on riding, there's 20, 96... What's that, 117? So only about 100 cavalry archers and then a battalion on foot, so it's not too bad, so we don't have to count that. I'm not sure that we could win that, to be honest. I'm really not sure. Especially given the boost we gave Harad, making all of their units just more aggressive. I mean, look at that. The Southron Warband is basically their second unit after the Haradrim Spearmen, and their stats are 8 attack with an 11 defense. And they're a spear unit. I mean, Harad are much stronger now, courtesy of that editing. So I'm going to have to save that there, I'm afraid. But at least our turn times are going quickly. So when we end the turns, it's not too much of a problem. But so to take away from this episode, if you're still with me, 1.2 will likely be this weekend now. Stay tuned tomorrow for... Well, no, there won't be anything tomorrow because I don't record on a Wednesday. So we'll continue on. The next video will be on Friday. And that will be Woodland Realm. And then Khazad-dûm will be on Saturday, and then the faction overview will be on Sunday. And I don't know what to do about stainless steel. I'm really unsure because I don't really have enough time or desire to do more than 5 videos a week, because otherwise I run out of steam with it. So we may have to just temporarily suspend the stainless steel campaign until we either A, finish the faction overviews, or just see where the channel's at, how much time we've got, things like that. But for now, thank you very much for watching, if indeed you have. Stay tuned for 1.2, check out the changelog, and until we speak again, Navar na den Pedimad Melonin, and farewell.